In July 2026, the fundamental assumption that academic research exists outside the reach of geopolitical conflict was shattered. This occurs despite massive domestic investments. Canada recently committed $630 million through NSERC to support engineering and natural sciences, while Anthropic pledged $10 million in AI credits to major Canadian research hubs. But as Western governments subsidize this innovation, coordinated adversarial campaigns are simultaneously working to extract that technological value as it is created. Analyzing these events requires looking past individual headlines, seeing them as a unified matrix of compromise. This threat matrix provides a framework to categorize global research security incidents across three specific vectors. Vector 1 is the human insider, the physical removal of data by trusted personnel. Vector 2 is the gray zone of collaboration, where legitimate academic partnerships are exploited to acquire dual-use technology. Vector 3 is the AI and cyber offensive, utilizing digital extraction to target foundational machine learning architectures. These vectors track an industrial-scale hemorrhaging of intellectual property from Western institutions. The most vulnerable point in a multi-million-dollar laboratory is rarely the digital perimeter. It is the person with the keys to the server. Consider the case of Dennis Liu, a former federal scientist at Natural Resources Canada. Following his retirement, he was charged with unauthorized use of a computer and breach of trust. Investigators allege Liu downloaded more than 2,600 documents to personal storage devices and attempted to access a foreign cloud service from his government laptop. Authorities believe this data, specifically involving graphite processing and clean energy, was intended to further a career in China through the Thousand Talents program. This is a systemic vulnerability that extends well beyond Canada. In South Korea, universities report cases of foreign graduate students accessing raw source code and confidential research files before abruptly withdrawing from their programs and leaving the country with the data. The corporate sector faces identical pressures, as seen in recent indictments in Taiwan. A former manager at TSMC was charged with stealing secrets related to core semiconductor technologies, allegedly to establish a competing company in China. Because human capital is being actively weaponized, standard non-disclosure agreements are failing to prevent the loss of state-backed research. In the gray zone, adversaries use legitimate academic forums and joint ventures to acquire dual-use technology without triggering espionage alerts. The Technical University of Munich recently faced criticism for its participation in this space. Researchers there engaged in aerospace conferences with Chinese and Russian institutions, discussing drone technology and hypersonic flight under the defense of standard scientific exchange. In the UK, these partnerships are often embedded within the very institutions tasked with national defense. An investigation by The Telegraph found that Queen Mary University of London maintains a long-running partnership with a Chinese university directly linked to military and defense research. This creates an immediate operational conflict. Queen Mary is also a founding member of the UK's new Defence University Alliance. The United States has responded to these overlaps with aggressive restrictions. The Pentagon expanded its Section 1286 blacklist to include top Chinese civilian universities like Fudan, barring researchers who receive U.S. federal funding from collaborating with them. This oversight follows a review of Department of Education records showing that major American universities received at least $27.6 million from foreign entities on government watch lists. The traditional academic model of unrestricted, borderless science is proving incompatible with the reality of dual-use technology proliferation. Digital offensives have moved past the financial motives seen in the $1.9 million Mount Royal ransomware incident, now prioritizing the theft of foundational research. A primary method for this is model distillation. This technique allows researchers to transfer the capabilities of powerful, proprietary AI models into smaller, specialized systems. Chinese military researchers are reportedly using distillation to train domestic defense systems using outputs from U.S. models like Claude and GPT, effectively bypassing export controls on the models themselves. Traditional cyber espionage has also evolved. The hacking group UNK Mass Traction recently targeted North American universities. Their targets were not commercial products, but pre-commercial science departments, specifically those conducting research in astrophysics and particle physics. Intelligence gathering is no longer waiting for a technology to reach the market. It is infiltrating the computational basement of foundational science. The global response to these three vectors is a move towards a fortress approach for research and development. The European Commission is preparing new rules restricting foreign companies from the EU public procurement market if they pose security or interference risks. Similarly, the UK has launched the Defence Universities Alliance to bind academic research more tightly to the Ministry of Defence's long-term capabilities. Canada is following suit with the creation of the Uncrewed Systems Defense Innovation Secure Hub, which explicitly tethers university research to military drone advancement. As the new Dutch national guidelines on knowledge security point out, this transition creates unavoidable friction with academic freedom and research integrity. Maintaining an airtight research security posture has transitioned from a basic best practice to the absolute prerequisite for institutional survival.